I thought it would be a good idea to talk about word pairs today. And for those of you who don't know what word pairs are, they're basically words in the English language that either look very similar in terms of their spelling or sound very similar, but actually have different meanings. And I've selected a few word pairs today that I think gets very commonly confused for us to speak about in further detail. So I am Neely of Neely There. One thing that actually I would like to point out very quickly, it was suggested to me after one of my most recent videos that I should consider typing these words up instead. So to that wonderful person, I would like to apologise, because unfortunately you will be having to deal with my handwriting again, but hopefully you can still gain something after watching it. So our first word pair, we have immoral and amoral. And this is a really good example of how word pairs can sound very similar, because in spoken English, immoral and amoral can sound almost exactly the same. So we'll start off with the one that most of us are probably already familiar with, immoral. So as most of you may already know, if you are an immoral person, or if you perform immoral activities, that basically means that you are doing things that are sinful, unethical, just plain wrong, basically. However, if you are amoral, with the A at the beginning, this basically means that you are neutral of any kind of moral perspective. So to put it in simple terms, you are not really concerned about the difference between moral and immoral. So if we put this version, this particular words into a sentence, Bob grew up to be a very immoral young man because his parents never taught him the difference in right from wrong. So he was not really concerned about the difference between right and wrong. Right, next two words. Now these two sound, actually they're pronounced in exactly the same way. Discreet, and then we have this version of discreet. So we'll start off with this one because this is one that most of us probably already know about. So discreet with the two E's together. If you are a discreet person, this usually means that you are quite modest, reserved, private perhaps. However, this version of discreet, where the two E's are separate, and actually the spelling of this word is a very good indicator of the definition of it, it's a good reminder, this version of discreet basically means separate or distinct. So if we use this version in a sentence, Mary looked like she was wearing a dress. However, her top and her skirt were two discrete items of clothing. They were two separate items of clothing. Last word pair, and this is one that I find gets confused a lot because it's very similar in meaning, and I find this through just sort of general conversation that I have with people. We have presume, and you can probably guess what the next one is, assume. So both of these words, presume and assume, mean to believe for something to be true. The difference comes in when we start thinking about the degree of certainty. So a presumption is usually more authoritative than an assumption. If you presume something, you're making an informed guess based on evidence and facts. But if you assume something, you're just making a guess based on either little or no information. So if we use both of these words in sentences very quickly, I assume that I'm going to be ordering a pizza next Wednesday. So I'm just making a random guess, really. I presume that I'm going to be ordering a pizza next Wednesday because I order one every Wednesday, and actually Domino's has a really good deal on this day where you get where there's a buy one get one free offer. So I'm making that statement based on some kind of evidence and information. So I hope you found this helpful, guys. Obviously, when it comes to having an extensive understanding of your English vocabulary, practice, I know it sounds quite cliche, practice really does make perfect. So lots of reading, lots of writing. One thing to bear in mind, that if you are doing writing for whatever purpose, do remember that electronic dictionaries, they're great obviously at picking up spelling mistakes. However, they might not necessarily always be so good at identifying words that have been used in the incorrect context, which is why it's so important to start trying to get a better understanding of word pairs and just sort of brushing up on your basic English grammar. If you would like any further help with this, then please send me a message. Feel free to give me a call. We can meet up for a coffee and you can let me know what's bothering you about the English language.